On October 13, 1972, a small plane carrying 45 people took off from Montevideo, Uruguay. The passengers were mostly young rugby players traveling to Chile for a friendly match. They were excited, laughing, and looking forward to the trip. But no one on that plane knew they were about to become part of one of the most unbelievable survival stories in history. The plane, known as Fairchild FH-227D, was flying over the massive Andes Mountains. Suddenly, the weather began to change. Thick clouds surrounded the plane, and the pilots struggled to see anything. Because of the bad weather, the pilots misjudged their position. They believed they had already crossed the mountains, but they were wrong. Without warning, the aircraft slammed into a mountain peak. One wing broke off instantly. Moments later, the second wing ripped away. The plane's body slid down the icy mountain like a sled before crashing violently into the snow. Inside the wreckage, chaos erupted. Several passengers died instantly. Others were badly injured. Survivors crawled out into a terrifying scene. Endless white mountains, freezing wind, and no signs of civilization anywhere. They were stranded nearly 3,600 meters above sea level in the Andes. At first, the survivors believed rescue teams would find them quickly. Planes were sent to search for the missing aircraft. But there was a problem. The plane was white, and it was lying in the middle of a snowy mountain range. From the sky, it was almost impossible to see. Days passed, then something devastating happened. The survivors managed to hear a small radio from the cockpit. One afternoon, they listened to the news broadcast. The announcer said the search for their plane had been officially called off. The world believed they were already dead. Hope was fading. Food was almost gone. The only things they had were a few chocolate bars, small bottles of wine, and some snacks. The temperature at night dropped to 30 degrees. People were freezing, starving, and losing hope. Then disaster struck again. 17 days after the crash, a massive avalanche buried the wreckage while the survivors were sleeping inside it. Several more people died that night. Now only a small group remained alive. They knew one thing: no one was coming to rescue them. If they wanted to survive, they had to do something unthinkable. With no food left, the survivors made a painful and controversial decision. They would use the bodies of those who had died to survive. It was the hardest choice of their lives, but it kept them alive. Weeks passed. Finally, two of the strongest survivors decided to attempt the impossible: walk across the Andes Mountains to find help. Among them was Fernando Parado. For 10 days, they climbed through brutal mountains, freezing nights, and dangerous cliffs. After walking nearly 70 kilometers, they finally saw something unbelievable: a man riding a horse on the other side of a river. They had found civilization. Rescue teams were immediately sent into the mountains. On December 22, 1972, 72 days after the crash, helicopters finally arrived and rescued the remaining survivors. Out of the original 45 passengers, 16 people survived. Their story shocked the entire world and became one of the most incredible survival stories ever recorded. Today, the Andes crash is remembered not just as a tragedy, but as a story of human courage, determination, and the powerful will to survive. Because sometimes, even in the coldest and darkest places on Earth, hope refuses to die.